Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to the Econobox garage. Come on inside where it's a little bit warmer. To kick things off, I'd like to say a big thank you to Moss Motors for sponsoring this week's video. They sent me all the items I need to convert the exterior lighting, except for the headlights, to LED. You'll find links to each of the featured items in the description below. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy this week's video. Well, in last week's video you would have seen I've got the touch-ups done on the door here and on the back of the car. Because the temperatures are cooler, as I'm filming this, it's the second week of February. I'm going to leave that for a few more days before I start sanding, give the paint a chance to set up. But in the meantime, I can start to get things ready to go back on the car. And the first of those is going to be the lights. Now I have all the pieces for the lights I've placed in order earlier. That's one of the front lights here. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is these are all the sockets for the lights here. There should be one more. Here's one for the main tail light, and for the other side, that's for the license plate light. And where'd the other one go? 1, 2, 3. There it is. Now there are two different kinds. There's this one here that just has the two connectors and a ground. This one goes on the front, as does this one here. And these two with the single contact go on the back of the car. Just notice this one here is broken, so I may have to replace that one unless I can figure something else out. I do have a spare of the double type. So maybe I can scavenge one of the bits off here, off this one, to use on the other one. But we'll get to that. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to replace, or I'm going to make sure these are all clean inside and out. You see this one's not too bad on the back side, but inside it's quite corroded. So I'll figure that out, or I'll get those cleaned up. Same with this one here. It's all messy inside. And this one here, I can get the bulb out one-handed. And I'll check this one as well and see if I can replace this bit here as well. So that's what I'm going to do first. And to do that, I just have a little wire brush on the end of my Dremel. So I'll use this little wire brush, and it's pretty good size to get inside each place here. So this is the only one of the sockets that had the screws and clips on it, and it only had two. So what I can do is I can go to Lowe's or another fastener supplier, Home Depot, whatever, and pick up what I need to mount the 4 of these. So I'll have to pick up 12 of the little clips that you can see here, and then 12 of that size of screw. And that way I'll be able to screw everything back onto the car. But first of all, I have to get these all cleaned up. So these little contacts here on these light sockets are spring-loaded. So what I've done, in order to make it easier to get as far inside the socket as I can to clean it, I've pulled the contact out and just lightly clamped on my vice grips to hold it out, to keep the other end of it out of the way. Part of what I'm doing with the Bugeye is I'm doing some upgrades. I have upgraded to the disc brakes from a later Sprite. It has a rib case gearbox, and the engine is out of a later Midget. It's a large journal 1098 that's been worked over. One of the other upgrades I'm going to do is the lighting. I want to make sure that I can be seen. The headlights are going to be halogen H4s. The front and rear signal lights, the brake lights, and the license plate lights are all going to be LEDs. Now, Moss Motors has been kind enough to send me the bulbs I need for that. So I have the little bulbs that go in the license plate light. There's 2 of those, and those are white for a white lens. And bulbs for the front signal lights and running lights. Those are equivalent to the 1157. Replace the dual filament bulb, and it's a white LED for a white lens. And then for the back lights, the signal lights, it's just a single filament, the 1156, and this is a red bulb for a red lens. Now, because the LEDs draw a lot less power, it needs an electronic flasher unit, so they've sent me that as well. And for the brake lights tail light combo, they've sent me their comprehensive kit here. Let's move these aside for a moment. Now, this replaces the dual filament bulb in the rear tail light. There's a comprehensive instruction sheet to go along with this. And what I'm going to do before I install these on the car is I'll put one of these together and show you a comparison of the tail light with the LED setup in it, and as opposed to conventional bulbs. Now, you may ask, why go to LEDs? So what I'm going to try to do with this setup is demonstrate the difference in brightness between the LED bulb and the incandescent bulb in the white lenses. So these are white LEDs for clear lenses. This one here, the one on the right, is the incandescent, and the one on the left has the LED. So I've got them facing into the back, and let's see how what the difference is. So that's the incandescent light by itself, and that's the LED light by itself. So let's hook the other one back up. And you can see in the back of the box there, the incandescent one on the right is a much softer light, and the LED is a much brighter, whiter light, which would be much better for visibility. Another thing, the incandescent bulbs give off a lot of heat, which means they aren't that efficient relative to the LED bulbs. So in turn, the LED bulbs put a smaller load on the electrical system. So as you can see, the difference is quite significant between the two. And so I'll take this one apart and I'll set it up with the red lights, just to give you an idea of the difference there. I've got the rear lights now set up with the red lens and the 1157 bulb, which is the single filament. This is the incandescent one on the right, and I've got the LED on the left. So let's turn on the incandescent one first. Yeah, so there's the incandescent one, and there's the LED. Let's turn them both on. You can see there's a significant difference in the brightness between the two on these lights here. So again, this is the incandescent one, and this is the LED bulb. So it's a red LEDs inside the red lens. So I know this looks a little pink in here, but it definitely is red, and as you can see, it definitely is brighter. Here's a look at the LED tail light kit that Moss has sent me. It comes with 2 of the actual bulb arrays or LED arrays that go inside each of the lights themselves. So there's 2 of those, 2 new gaskets for the lens itself, some extra ground wire, and a whole bunch of connectors and spacers and what have you to do the installation. And along with that is a 4-page instruction sheet. So I'm not going to be installing the light on the car right away, but I am going to prep it ready to go, and also that I can demonstrate the difference between the original incandescent and the LED array. So these are the tail light bases that I have. Now on all the other lights, all I have to do is put the LED bulb in, and I suppose I could have done that with this, but basically the bulb is just down at the bottom here, and I don't know if it would be as effective as it could be. If there is a drawback with this particular kit, it's that you have to remove the bulb holder from the mounting plate of the light itself. So there's two rivets that need to be drilled out, one here and one here, and then you'll be able to remove this part here. Now what I'm going to do the demonstration here is I'm just going to remove one of them and put the light together with the conventional bulb in it, and then I'll set up the other one with the LED array as per the MOS instructions. Okay, so I've drilled those rivets out. I am going to retain this in case I ever want to go back and do a proper restoration. So I'll keep this on hand so that if ever I decide to go back to a factory restoration, or the next owner does, I have this and it can easily revivet it to the taillight housing. So now that that's done, I'm just going to give this a good clean. You can see it's kind of all dirty in here. Then I'll get going on putting the LED kit into here. This LED taillight kit is applicable to a lot of vehicles, and as such you get a lot of extra hardware. There'll be some used on the Bugeye that wouldn't be used on, say, the Jag and what have you. So and it gives you the option of either going with the spade connections or with the bullet connections. So it gives you all of those options for installing this kit. For now, all I'm going to need is these two spacers. So I'll put the camera up on the tripod and then show you how those spacers go in. Now you'll see on the back of the LED array there's two little holes, and that's where these spacers go in. Not quite. It does say you may have to sand the edge down a little bit. I think I may have to do that on this one here. You don't want to be pressing too hard on this because you don't, otherwise you may end up breaking the panel. Now what these spacers do, they hold the LED array off the back of the thing here. I'm just going to route the wires through. Just going to route the wires through the slot here. Actually, no, I'll have to route them through these holes up top because that lines up with the holes on the back of the car. Now there's lots of wire provided on this harness, so you'd probably end up taking some off at some point. But I'm just going to set these screws into the hole just to keep things lined up. This is just for demonstration purposes. So that's how they'll look installed on the plate, and these two screws will go into the holes on the body. Well, I probably should have put that on first. Let's see if we can get that. Where's that? Oh. I just have to poke these holes out for the screws. So that's that part there. And we have one of the lenses. I do have the original screws for those lenses, so I'll use those for now. They'll need a bit of a cleanup. I'm going to have to make those holes bigger. Now the holes in the gasket here are kind of rubbered over, for lack of a better term. So what I'm going to do to make sure I can get through that, I purchased a punch kit, or a hollow punch kit. So I'll just pick out the correct size punch and I'll just do it right on the table here. Punch those out so it's a nice clean hole, and then move on to setting up the light so I can show you the difference between this and the single incandescent bulb. So here are the two taillights. This one has the incandescent bulb in it, and this one has the LED kit in it. And they're both set up for the brake light to be on. And you can see on the LED one, the whole lens is lit up, whereas on the incandescent is just the lower part. So not only is the LED brighter, it also lights up more of the actual red plastic lens, which in turn will be a lot easier to see, especially during daylight. So I'm quite happy with how these have turned out. So just to recap, the kit for the rear tail lights comes with that circuit board with the LED array on it, comes with the hardware necessary, and the comprehensive instructions. This time I've just got the running light portion lit up on the LEDs and on the incandescent. You can see the incandescent is basically just in the bottom end of this, and that's more of a reflector. And then if you go to the LED, it's the whole thing that's lit up. And much easier to see. And with the size of the Bugeye in today's traffic, the easier you make the car to see, the safer you are. And in this side shot of the taillight with the incandescent bulb in it, you can see it's very dark up in here. But if I do look at the side on the LED one, it's lit up all the way across. From the back it's more visible, and from the side it's more visible. So there you have it. Incandescent on this side versus LED kit on this side. Well, that's all I have time for this episode. Thanks again to Moss Motors for their sponsorship. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are links to each of the products I used in the description below. If you enjoyed this week's video, please be sure to share it with your friends. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget that little bell icon. Click on that and you'll get notified when the next video comes out. If you'd like to get caught up on last week's video, I'll put a link up in the top corner here for you. My name is Ian. This is the Econobox Garage. We'll see you next time.